We all have the same condition. It's called life. For me, it means being a gay man and an addict in recovery, and sometimes a drag queen, and dealing with aging and sex, and being a friend, and finding happiness, and doing it all while living with HIV for the last 25 years. This much I've learned. Life definitely has side effects. I'm Mark S. King, and this is my fabulous disease.
This is the South Florida AIDS Walk. You know, it's been years since I've been to an AIDS walk, much less participated in one. It's gotten me thinking about the whole state of the AIDS crisis. You know, I don't even know if crisis is a good word to use anymore. With treatment successes and the fact that people like me, white gay men, haven't seen somebody die in like 10 years. You know, I look at the happy faces of the people here on a Sunday afternoon, and it's just a world removed from the kind of anger and grief I remember from the AIDS walks years ago. There's a new reality now. The funding that's being raised at this AIDS walk will go to help agencies who can't even afford to offer free HIV testing anymore. You know, that sort of money is going to political campaigns and defending gay marriage and don't ask, don't tell. It's as if the world has moved on, and so have the volunteers and the donors, and even the media, it seems. Take, for instance, two pieces of news from this year. First of all, in Berlin, a man was cured of HIV. And secondly, a promising HIV vaccine for the first time actually proved effective in clinical trials, at least partially. It's a great start. But the media hardly even covered these stories. It's as if we've become so apathetic about the crisis being over that we're totally bored when we hear news that the crisis might be over.
I think it's still a crisis because there are a lot of people that are dying because of the fact that they're not educated and they don't know how to protect themselves, and they don't know that they should get tested so that they can find out and they can get the medicine, the proper medicine that they need to stay alive longer.
I would say crisis because life can be prolonged with the medications that are out, but it's still an epidemic.
Have you ever known someone who's died of AIDS?
No, but I have a really, really good friend who's HIV positive.
Really?
Yeah.
How's he doing?
He's doing fine.
When was the last time a friend of yours died?
I'd say about 20 years ago.
2 months ago.
2 months ago? Really?
Yes.
Anybody else?
No.
After the initial wave, first wave, yeah, there hasn't been a lot since then.
Do you know anyone who's HIV positive?
I've seen patients that are, but I don't know anyone personally.
I am. Hi.
That's fine.
How are you? A couple of weeks ago, I spoke to U.S. Representative Barney Frank about this whole idea of post-crisis mentality. This is what he had to say about it. You know, we were talking earlier about how I tested positive in '85, and we both lived through the '80s as gay men. Either we're fortunate to have lived through that, and things have changed in a lot of good ways. In other ways, I see it kind of like this post-AIDS crisis mentality.
Clearly, back in '85, we had a double whammy of people dying, which was, of course, an overwhelming, terrible problem, and the helplessness you had when people got this death sentence, but also the discrimination that grew out of it. Now, the discrimination part is largely gone, if not entirely gone. There's always pockets in a big country, and it's no longer a death sentence. It's still obviously a serious illness. And, yeah, there are some people who don't take it seriously, but, you know, there are always going to be an element of people who still inhale cigarettes, who still drive drunk. There are people who don't get it. But I'd say that's not a negative, that's a qualification of the positive. It's obviously a good thing that we've done this. The response to AIDS, both the push for a cure and for ability to treat it, and education about how to avoid getting it, began in the gay community, and even as it has diminished, although obviously not disappeared within our community, the leadership in fighting this is still there within the gay community with the lesbian support, and it's a service, frankly, that our community is performing to many others. There are other communities that are affected which haven't shown the same kind of leadership.
I'm glad that we live in a time where we can concentrate on other things like ENDA or DOMA or Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and not be so having to be forced to be so focused on one health crisis.
There's no question, look, it's true in people's lives. I mean, survival is going to be your first goal. And once you have gotten survival under control, then you move on to other things.
I'm not even sure if I'm complaining about all of this. I mean, I'm so confused about it sometimes. I feel like David without a Goliath. This much I know for sure. I'm lucky to live in a time where the AIDS crisis isn't what it used to be, and where family and friends can gather on a Sunday afternoon and raise funds and remember people that they've lost. Maybe there's room in life for more than one truth at a time. Truth one, the AIDS crisis isn't what it used to be. It's not as dangerous to a lot of people. And truth two, it's a beautiful day for a walk.